resistance is futile.
Boldly going where no show has gone before. This is The Week in Geek with David D. Squared and Brian Held. Heard live on News Talk 99.5 WRNO and the iHeartRadio app. Here are your hosts, Brian Held and D. Squared.
Greetings, people of Earth. This is The Week in Geek, your source for geek and pop culture news that's trending now. I'm your host, D Squared, along with
Brian Held.
What you got? What's that crazy coughing disease you got?
The coughing disease?
As soon as I turn your microphone on, you start coughing. You're killing me, Smalls.
No, I hit the cough button.
No, you didn't.
So,
all right, so let's lay out the show, Brian.
All right, we're going to do top nerd news as we always do. Then Dave's favorite part of the show is Skungy's Pick of the Week.
How did you know?
Because I always know Dave. And then, of course, our guest this week is author Michael J. Sullivan. And we're going to talk to him about the works that he's done and some cool stuff there. And then we'll close it out as we always do with This Week in Geek History.
Now, if anybody was paying attention to the commercials before they started, May the 4th be with us, Brian.
Yes, a lot of party planning going on from our end. We're still getting cool donations for the charity auction that we're going to have. I've been spending all weekend getting flyers out in the community, so that's really cool. And we're really excited.
You were out among the unwashed masses?
They were scrubbed up pretty well. They were clean.
Oh, okay. Well, good. All right, so May 4th, doors open at 7 o'clock. Glitch Black, Pillsbury Flowboy. You want to say Pillsbury.
Yes, and Consortium of Genius.
Yes. Southport Hall. All right, let's get this road on the show. And now, your top nerd news stories from around the world, brought to you by the Viridian Tea Company. Find them on Etsy. And now, your top nerd news stories. All right, so right out of the gate, we're going to talk about costumes, Brian.
Yeah, man. Dude, look, Facebook blew up this week when we're talking about the DC Titans TV show. They had some set photos revealed, and they didn't look that good, Dave.
You're just being polite, man. Look, after Inhumans, the Party City references about how crappy their costumes looked, these pictures almost look like Party City's, poor brother.
Right.
Just it's like the dollar store costumes. Somehow they managed to make it look worse.
Yeah, it looked awful. But on the flip side, there are a lot of people who are like, guys, you can't judge this because it's set photos. There hasn't been any post-processing done on this.
Man, I don't care how much post they work on this. I mean, she looked like a streetwalker. Beast Boy looked like some creepy millennial just with green hair. And, Raven, who's supposed to be pale as the whatever's pale stuff. I mean, she looked like she had a tan, like she was all bronzed up.
Yeah, it's one of those arguments for practical effects, right? I mean, we see cosplayers all the time out in the community here who do phenomenal jobs that last all day long. They're, long-lasting paint jobs,
right?
Sounds like a commercial. But the thing is, and I personally have done makeup for Darth Maul.
Yeah, right.
And the alcohol-based stuff will last 6-8 hours.
Well, I think the worst part was just that, the way Starfire looked, and somehow it took a dark, retarded turn where people just, they just can't make it about, the costuming. Somebody had to throw race in there where it didn't need to go, didn't need to be. But the thing is just costuming alone, the costume looked like crap. It was like worse than the Joker's jacket from Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
And the hair that she had on, it looked like a Raggedy Ann doll's hair, and I mean, and I don't know, man. I don't know how they recover from this, because it's like they put out these great pictures of the Robin costume and the other one that they put out. Those looked amazing. And then Beast Boy is just kind of rolling in like a little zip-up hoodie with green highlights.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've known for a while that DC doesn't seem very committed to doing a good job. I mean, regardless, the TV stuff, you like the TV stuff, and that looks pretty good.
I don't know.
Right?
I think you're wrong with that previous statement, DC not being committed. They just got crap for writers, dude. I mean, they have not been able to really get everything clicking on the same cylinders. As much as everybody's like, oh, Wonder Woman was the best movie ever, because that's what you're about to say. It wasn't all that great. It was just better than all the other crap they gave us before that.
It was a decent flick. I won't say it was Oscar worthy or anything,
No.
but I mean, it was, especially in comparison to their previous offerings.
Right.
So,
but I mean, look, they're trying their best, but I got the bad feeling that they're now trying to put a whole bunch of stuff out there, and these practical effects. I mean, I don't know if they're trying to just change everything up, like, to put a new face on everything to make it more realistic as opposed to super, like having, not street level heroes like Luke Cage and stuff, but I'm talking like they're trying to make it look like a person who would just like, okay, Brian, we're gonna go fight crime tonight. Let me go throw on my my trench coat and some shades, and we're gonna go out there and fight some crime.
But Starfire is an alien with orange skin.
Yes,
right.
That is true.
They need to do something. I mean, Beast Boy is green,
right?
I mean, you're right. It's definitely a missed opportunity.
If it's leaked set photos, I mean, honestly, I mean, I don't know. Let's just move on because until we get something better out, I honestly don't believe they're probably going to do much better than that. They're going to probably try to recover where they can, but this seems like a pretty bad PR nightmare for them.
Pretty much. All right, well, moving on. Billy Mitchell.
Yes.
Hot sauce salesman, but you know him because he is a world record holder for, winning or 1 million points at Donkey Kong.
Yes.
Right? Has been stripped of all of his titles.
Yes, he's a cheater, Brian, and cheaters never prosper.
Well, I mean...
Cheater baby.
Cheater's probably a stretch, right? I mean, he could have legitimately played. However, in researching the footage, especially from that documentary King of Kong, they found that he was not, in fact, using a arcade cabinet to play the game, a traditional arcade cabinet, but it was a emulator, right?
Okay.
And that is absolutely verboten in the realm of keeping score in this competitive arcade realm.
Right.
And so, they yanked all of his titles and basically banned him from ever submitting
for
again.
Life.
Yeah, for life.
For life. So how is he going to sell his hot sauce now?
Well,
I mean, I'm not going to buy a hot sauce from some shady has-been who, cheated.
Maybe he needs to change his name.
Maybe I didn't even realize what his name was until it popped up on the internet.
Billy Mitchell sounds like a little like Billy Mays, right?
All right, what's next?
What's next on the list? Star Wars.
Yes. So Mark Hamill was questioned about his thoughts on the ending of the movie. So, I mean...
The ending of specifically Star Wars 8, The Last Jedi, yes. Right.
So, spoiler alert, he goes bye-bye.
Right.
And I honestly... seeing it in the theater, I didn't realize that the little kid at the end used the Force. I did not see that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I got the DVD. I meant to watch it over the weekend, but I didn't get a chance. So, at the end of the movie, the little kid uses the Force to bring a broom to him?
Yeah, we're talking about the stable scene, right? And they go back to the end, and he's staring there looking at the stars above the planet, and he reaches to his left, and the broom comes to his hand, and you're like, oh, here's a whole new generation of potential Jedi or Sith,
For some reason, I thought that was the idea of that one was that it was a whole brand new version of also Rebels, where they're going to, stand up and fight.
Well, I mean, no, because, the Last Jedi, right?
Yeah,
Luke is the Last Jedi. Now we got Rey is the Last Jedi.
But she's not. If Luke's gone, she's technically the Last Jedi for a hot 5 minutes, and then this other little upstart kid.
The distinction is she's not the final Jedi. She's currently the last until...
Define last.
Right.
Is last different from final?
Until a new breed is brought up and trained and become...
Well, don't Sith always travel in pairs? So maybe Rey really is Sith, and this little kid is a little Sith Lord. Maybe it's going to be Kylo Ren's Sith buddy.
Maybe.
It's going to be pairs. That's what it is.
Maybe those rules are now out of the window.
No, because we're still in the canon. That's still.
We
no,
are
because they said in the prequels, Jedi, the Sith and Paxton or pairs they do
right.
Whatever the hell Yoda said.
But the point is that all of that old stuff is gone now. We're now moving into new territory. Maybe those dark side wielders can have whatever rules they want. They can have 50 there are all the time.
Maybe we can just get to 9 and be done, and we'll just go to all the new stuff with Benioff and Weiss and everybody.
I wish we would have started with the new stuff halfway through 7.
Now, what about Solo? Solo's coming out
the 23rd, I believe. I will double check that. But it is in May, which is, of course, why Avengers Infinity War got moved to the 27th.
Yes.
Speaking of which, do you have your tickets yet?
No, I do not. Why would I do that? That's crazy talk.
May 25th for Solo is the release date.
Okay. Now,
I have my tickets for Infinity War.
And it's not going to be impossible to get tickets.
Yeah.
Brian. You're not going to see Cats. It's not like there's only one theater and 3 showings a day.
Yeah, but there's a lot
8 trillion theaters and 8 trillion showings.
But there's a lot of theaters now. I don't know if you noticed that have the labeled seating. You have to pick, right? So I want good seats.
You could. Oh God.
What?
Let's talk about this movie.
Adam King gets $75 per signature.
Let's rob Supercon. We dress up. We steal the stash. And we walk out like nothing ever happened.
You guys know this is a dumb idea, right?
The Adam Kings of the world, they're robbing from us. We want to take it back for the fans. This kid just monologued to me.
You caught me monologuing. All right, so that is Supercon, Brian.
Yes, Supercon. The Red Band trailer just dropped.
Obviously, that was not the Red Band trailer.
Well,
but we can't play Red Band trailers on the FCC regulated stations.
Right.
But yeah, it was filmed in the Hilario Center. Ted Wally.
Yes, Derek Donovan.
Yeah, Derek Donovan.
Preston Acevedo.
That hack was there?
Yes, he was there. Brigitte Chiari was there. I mean, a ton of our friends were at the Hilario Center for the filming of Supercon. That was Zach Nutston is the director. He's the guy... I
like his name.
Kinky Kelly and the Sexy Stud from Clerks 2.
Shut the front door.
He's the Sexy Stud.
No.
Yes.
All right, get him on the show. Get him on the show now.
I can't believe you didn't know that.
I did not. I don't know who people are, Brian.
Right. Well,
that's not my forte.
There's they're going to release in theaters on April 27th. Oddly enough, not here in New Orleans. It's a very limited release.
Oddly.
Yes.
I don't know. I have my reservations about the movie. I know we got lots of friends in it. I don't know. Maybe for some reason because it hits too close to home. I don't know.
A heist at a con.
I don't know. It just seems. I don't know. It just seems kind of.
Well, it also
I will be happy to be wrong.
Yeah, you can also get it on video on demand and digital HD on April 27th as well. So I think it'll be amusing.
I want the Sexy Stud.
Yeah.
Bring me the Sexy Stud.
I'll see what I can do.
Hey, speaking of Sexy Studs, we lost somebody today, Brian.
We did.
Jesus H. Christ. What the is that? What is that, Private Pile?
Sir, jelly donuts, sir!
A jelly donut? Are you allowed to eat jelly donuts, Private Pile?
Sir, no, sir!
And why not, Private Pile?
Sir, because I'm too heavy, sir!
Because you are a disgusting fat body, Private Pile!
I could listen to that man rant and rave all day long.
Yes, unfortunately, Arlie Ermy died last night, 74 years old, of pneumonia.
Damn, what is up with pneumonia? I hate pneumonia.
Lethal stuff, man.
But it's only lethal to old people for some reason, man.
Right. Well.
Good Lord. We need a Stan Lee update. How's my poor buddy Stan doing, man?
The last I heard is they filmed him basically giving a statement about the current condition, saying that, hey, I'm okay. There are people out there spreading lies and misinformation. Everything's fine.
I'm fine. We're fine. How are you?
Yeah,
we're all fine. How are you?
Exactly. That kind of deal. And, of course, there are people who are still concerned about his situation, about the potential elder abuse that he's going through right now.
Yeah.
The last convention appearance that he had, people were very concerned that it was almost like he could barely sign his name. And they're like, just, dude, leave the guy alone. Let him, be in peace. Right, he's 95, guys. Come on.
Yeah, but he's still Stan Lee, man.
He is.
He's going to be in movies forever.
All right.
Forever.
Did you want to talk about anything else?
No, we got to go. We got your buddy on the phone.
Oh, all right. Well, guys, stay tuned. When we get back from these short commercial messages, it'll be Skungy and his pick of the week. You're listening to the Week in Geek on News Talk 99.5 WRNO.
In a New Orleans that never was and never will be, airships float high above the city while platoons of clockwork automatons patrol the streets below. In Storyville, pirates, streetwalkers, gamblers, and thieves prowl back alleys in search of their next mark. New Orleans by Gaslight, the premier anthology of locally written and locally produced steampunk poetry and fiction, all set in Victorian New Orleans. Buy it now, available in both paperback and Kindle versions at Amazon.com. New Orleans by Gaslight.
Come out to the St. Tammany Collectors Con April 28th at the Clarion in Covington. Toys, comic books, artists, games, and more. Meet actor John Anderson from Guardians of the Galaxy, Marvel Comics artist Derek Donovan, and see the Jeep from Jurassic Park. All-day entertainment for only $3 at the St. Tammany Collectors Con at the Clarion in Covington. Find out more info at sttammanycollectorscon.com. Join us. You'll be glad you did.
You've waited for it, and now it's here. Get your very own Week in Geek Radio Show t-shirt and help support our show. These 100% cotton black t-shirts with the Week in Geek Radio Show logo are going fast. So don't wait. Go to twigradio.com and order your shirt now. Just go to twigradio.com and get your very own Week in Geek Radio Show t-shirt. $15 up to XL, $17 for 2X and 3X. That's twigradio.com.
Friends, is your morning tea just not your cup of tea? Then try the tea blends of Viridian Tea Company. At Viridian Tea Company, they sell blends guaranteed to make you think outside the box. With such blends as My Enemy's Tears, Goth Librarian, Cyberpunk, and many more, your tea experience will be out of this world. Look for the blends at Tubby & Coo's Mid-City Bookshop, located at 631 North Carrollton, or on Etsy at Viridian Tea Company. Try Viridian Tea Company today. Your taste buds will thank you.
Do you have a message or logo that you need the world to see? Then rely on the folks at Gretna Signworks to use their expertise to deliver your design. With over 15 years in business, Gretna Signworks can do commercial and yard signs, banners, screen-printed t-shirts, magnetic signs, vehicle graphics and lettering, and so much more. Gretna Signworks also has an exceptional network of suppliers, so no job is out of scope. Find Gretna Signworks on Facebook or visit them at 2125 Bell Chase Highway today.
Friday, May 4th at Southport Hall, the Week in Geek Radio Show celebrates 5 years on the air with a blowout geek music party. Glitch Black, Pillsbury Flowboy, and the Consortium of Genius will be bringing the best in nerd rock. Also, we're having a charity raffle for geeks empowering extraordinary kids. That's Friday, May 4th at Southport Hall. Doors open at 7 p.m. Only $5 in advance and $10 at the door for this special event. Get your tickets for the Week in Geek Radio Show's anniversary celebration at ticketfly.com.
Welcome back to the Week in Geek, your source for geek and pop culture news that's trending now. Like them on Facebook at The Week in Geek Radio Show. Here are your hosts, D Squared and Brian Held.
Yeah, you right, voice guy. This is D Squared and
Brian Held.
Oh, man, Brian, there are times that I do love my job.
Yeah.
There are those days, but then there are these days.
I am not what you would call a handsome man.
Skungy's Pick of the Week is brought to you by GameStop and ThinkGeek.com.
Skungy's Pick of the Week.
You might be an idiot savant.
Woohoo!
Skungy, what's shaking bacon?
I'm so sorry that I am the crux in your day. I apologize on that one.
You're a horcrux. I got to go kill you now. All right, man.
Yes.
What are we talking about today, buddy?
Today we're talking about Far Cry 5.
All righty then.
And so, Far Cry 5, the obvious, like, not the fifth entry. They've actually had more than 5 entries because apparently games today don't know how to count right.
They can't.
But this is the fifth story entry, basically, in the Far Cry series. Far Cry is a first-person shooter that is always set. Traditionally, it was set in an exotic location. Now it's set in Montana.
Okay.
It's exotic?
Because it's exotic. They're bears. They at least have bears. But it's a really, Far Cry has always been a really fun game.
He says bears, and I thought, Kinky Kelly.
But it's...
Continue.
It's always been, like, just a fun game. So with this one, it's got a little bit of a serious overtone where you have the main protagonist is this guy named Joseph Seed, who's a religious zealot who has a cult that has taken over this entire town. And him and his brothers and sisters are bringing people into the cult and taking over the, police force and everything. And you're a deputy who's trying to stop them from doing it. So it's got those serious overtones of almost like a David Koresh, Waco kind of feel to it.
Interesting.
But just in the story part of it, that's it. Everything else in the story, everything else when you play is kind of silly.
All right.
Like you can have there's a bear, I'm not joking, there's a bear named Cheeseburger who you can have as a companion.
Oh, okay. Cheeseburger the bear.
Yeah, you can go around and you can get like all kinds of vehicles. You can get seaplanes, you can get jet skis. You can go fishing because, why not just stop shooting people in the head and just go fishing for a little bit?
Hey, even homicidal maniacs need to get away from it all.
So, exactly. It's a huge open world. It's got a very, very large map. You can play, if you're somebody like me who doesn't necessarily follow the story and goes off to the side, you're going to be lost for hours before you even think about going to the main story. And speaking of that, you're going to have to fight the 3 underlings before you get to Joseph Seed. You don't have an order that you have to fight them. You can fight them in any way that you want to. You can go to the one in the south or the north or the west, whichever way you want to. There's no set design to fighting anybody.
All right.
Cool.
So, but like I said, the Far Cry games have never taken themselves seriously. One of them was Primal that came out a couple of years ago. You were playing a Neolithic caveman. A couple of years ago, they made Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon, which was a 1980s it felt like the game was made in the 80s, but a futuristic 80s. Like the guy with Michael Biehn from Terminator was the main character, and he had the modified 9mm that RoboCop had.
Oh yeah,
nice.
So but it had like that neon and everything, that neon lights and
Kung
everything.
Fury.
That people thought that the future was going to look like in 1983.
It should have. We got robbed.
We did. We got gypped. But they've never taken themselves serious on that. And that's where the fun in this game comes out, is the just mindless exploration of it. Them trying to do with the religious zealot, it's an interesting story, but I don't think it works too much for this particular game series. Because you're going up against this really, Bible thumper and everything, and then I'm going to do an Evel Knievel stunt course right after it.
Okay.
So it doesn't fit. It kind of mashes up. The gameplay style of it is fun. You're going to enjoy it. Yeah, like open world first person shooters, collectathons. There are some great Easter eggs in this game. Just don't pay too much attention to the story. It kind of just seems kind of jumbled and doesn't fit with the rest of the game.
Do not look at the plot behind the curtain.
Right.
Nothing to see here.
Exactly. But you can play the entire game co-op as well, which is great.
Okay. Is there a multiplayer?
No, there's no multiplayer. It's just co-op.
Just co-op, so you get one friend.
All right.
Yeah,
only one friend.
One
Phone
friend.
in a friend.
But that shouldn't be too hard for you, Dave.
You'd be surprised.
All right. Well, what's the price and platforms on this, Skungy?
So the price and platform, it's going to be on the Xbox One, the PC, and the PS4. It's $59.99, and like anything that's made by Ubisoft, there is a season pass for it.
Hooray.
The season pass is going to be $30, and it adds 3 more story missions. I can't remember the exact names of them, but they basically break down to Far Cry Zombies, Far Cry Vietnam, and Far Cry Mars.
Interesting.
Why Mars?
So at least, well, just I don't know. Like I said, they've never taken themselves seriously. It's always outlandish stuff. So, I mean, at least, and so they're basically $10 a piece, and it's a full story add-on. So, like I said, with Blood Dragon, which is my all-time favorite Far Cry, that was an add-on. That wasn't a full game. So they really do put some TLC into their add-ons.
Well, that's cool.
All righty then. Fine.
So,
Fine.
Skungy, I wanted to co-op your segment just a little bit to talk about. I managed to stop by our friends over at In Exile Entertainment the other day, and I found out that they are working on Bard's Tale 4.
I'm jealous.
Yeah. So, of course, anybody who's played Bard's Tale knows that it's just, this kind of set in this Scottish atmosphere, very tongue-in-cheek, very irreverent, fun game to play, a blast. And
the last one was voiced by Carrie Ellis from the Princess Bride, and Tony Jay, who's Judge Furlough in Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Oh, yeah. No, they put a lot of good work into this. And the alpha is out right now. There's so I managed to get an alpha key. That was super cool. And it's a little short snippet of the game. It's mostly combat, just to kind of walk you through it. And, Dave, actually, I think you would probably like this because it's tactically based. It's not real time.
Oh, okay.
So when you get into combat, you have this sort of this grid arranged in front of you. Okay. Your guys are in, there's like two rows of 4 squares, and then the enemy has the same, and you can move your guys around on their turn and then cast spells or attack or do different things. And it gives you the time to plan out your turn versus having to, have that reaction speed. I thought it was super cool, So
it was different than the third one. The third one had that kind of like almost Diablo-esque feel to it, so it's completely different from that.
Yeah, this is like you're in a party when you start out, but you're first person, so it's like you're playing one of the characters and the rest of them are, I guess, behind you, right? And then when you walk up to a group of creatures or whatever it is, then you get into combat and the whole party splits out and you're seeing basically their backs.
Yeah, okay.
Right, and kind of in the foreground, and then right beyond them is the enemy arrayed in front of you. Huh. And so, and it's just, you go through like 3 different little sets of combat, and then the alpha test ends there,
all right?
And the graphics look excellent. Right, there's a lot of cool stuff around, and you can break barrels and get little potions and things and stuff, and so it was cool.
Break vases, get rupees.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I'm definitely excited to see more of it. Right,
that series has always been like a great game, and they started out. They did have that first person dungeon crawl feel on the first ones that were on the PC and on the Nintendo, and then it wasn't until the one that came out on the original Xbox and PlayStation 2 where it went to the Diablo. It's always had a tongue-in-cheek kind of thing, where you open up a treasure chest and the narrator is saying, and the bard stole from these people.
Right.
No, but I like this strategy, like movement points. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it's great, and of course. They are in development on Wasteland 3. That's kind of in process right now. And, of course, NXile is going to be at our party.
They will be.
Yes, and they're bringing their VR demo set to give folks a chance to check it out.
That is the best thing ever.
Dude, the Mage's Tale was excellent. It's a great game. If you're lucky enough to have an Oculus Rift or what's the HTC Vive setup, you can play the Mage's Tale. Excellent, excellent game.
Good deal.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, Skungy, do you have a Overwatch update for us?
Jesus.
Yes, I do. So, New York Excelsior is at 21-3. So they're still on top of the game. You still got London is right behind them. But in the thing is, stage 3, you've got a different kind. You've got a playoff bracket. And Valiant is actually on top of the playoff bracket for stage 3, with Boston, then New York, and then the LA Gladiators.
Okay.
So it's kind of interesting on how you have the playoff coming out. But yeah, so you got New York, London, Seoul, Boston, Philadelphia, LA Valiant, Houston, and LA Galaxy rounding out the top 8. And then all the way in the bottom of the cellar, I want you to see if you can guess.
Shanghai Dragons.
They are 0-24.
Oh my God! They still have not won a game.
Nope.
They haven't won a game yet.
Wow. All right, I am literally. All right, I keep talking about it. You know what?
You have to.
I am. It's happening.
All right, let's get your application in, Dave. We'll start working on that. All right.
We got to go to break, man. Fire his butt so we can go.
All right, well, thanks very much, Skungy, for
fire him.
No, I'm not going to fire him.
Do
I like
it.
Skungy.
Skungy!
Yes?
Yeah, you're fired. See you later, buddy.
No. I almost made it the whole time.
Nope.
Guys, stay tuned. When we get back, you're going to hear our interview with Michael J. Sullivan. You're listening to The Week in Geek on News Talk 99.5 WRNO.
Gummy bears.
Magic and mystery are part of their history, along with the secret of gummy berry juice. Their legend is growing, they take pride in knowing the fight for what's right in whatever they do. Gummy bears bouncing here and there and everywhere.
Friday, May 4th at Southport Hall, the Week in Geek radio show celebrates 5 years on the air with a blowout geek music party. Glitch Black, Pillsbury Flowboy, and the Consortium of Genius will be bringing the best in nerd rock. Also, we're having a charity raffle for geeks empowering extraordinary kids. That's Friday, May 4th at Southport Hall. Doors open at 7 p.m. Only $5 in advance and $10 at the door for this special event. Get your tickets for the Week in Geek radio show's anniversary celebration at ticketfly.com.
Black Tie Tans, the premier mobile spray tanning professionals of New Orleans. Black Tie Tans will come to you and give you a natural glistening glow on the go. First-time customers get 20% off their first tan. Find them on Facebook at Black Tie Tans or email them at blacktitans@gmail.com to set your appointment. Going to a wedding? Going out to the club? Black Tie Tans will give you the look you need. Black Tie Tans. Tell your pale friends.
Jezebel Johnston, Devil's Handmaid by Nancy Hansen, is now an audiobook read for you by Brian Held. It's a tale of a young girl from Tortuga who disguises herself as a boy and bluffs her way onto a pirate ship, chasing after her one true love, only to find adventure on the high seas. Jezebel Johnston, Devil's Handmaid is available on Amazon, Audible, and iTunes. Get your copy of Jezebel Johnston today.
Do you have a message or logo that you need the world to see? Then rely on the folks at Gretna Signworks to use their expertise to deliver your design. With over 15 years in business, Gretna Signworks can do commercial and yard signs, banners, screen-printed t-shirts, magnetic signs, vehicle graphics and lettering, and so much more. Gretna Signworks also has an exceptional network of suppliers, so no job is out of scope. Find Gretna Signworks on Facebook or visit them at 2125 Bell Chase Highway today.
Friends, is your morning tea just not your cup of tea? Then try the tea blends of Viridian Tea Company. At Viridian Tea Company, they sell blends guaranteed to make you think outside the box. With such blends as My Enemy's Tears, Goth Librarian, Cyberpunk, and many more, your tea experience will be out of this world. Look for the blends at Tubby & Coo's Mid-City Bookshop, located at 631 North Carrollton, or on Etsy at Viridian Tea Company. Try Viridian Tea Company today. Your taste buds will thank you.
You've waited for it, and now it's here. Get your very own Week in Geek Radio Show t-shirt and help support our show. These 100% cotton black t-shirts with the Week in Geek Radio Show logo are going fast. So don't wait. Go to twigradio.com and order your shirt now. Just go to twigradio.com and get your very own Week in Geek Radio Show t-shirt. $15 up to XL, $17 for 2X and 3X. That's twigradio.com.
Now, back to the Week in Geek on News Talk 99.5 WRNO with David D. Squared and Brian Held. Tell your friends. Tell your enemies. Yeah, you'll definitely want to tell your enemies.
This is Brian Held with the Week in Geek radio show on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. And I'm joined by Michael J. Sullivan. Sir, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Now, you are, in 2012, I believe it was, IO9 named you the most successful self-published sci-fi and fantasy author.
I mean, that's a pretty bold statement. What does that mean?
Well, I actually think they named me one of. I don't think they named me the, but that would have been really cool.
Right.
But yeah, I was actually kind of surprised with it myself. The only thing I can think of is that, I mean, there was a number of people that had self-published books out. I think it was around 2010, I think it was, that Christmas season when kind of like, you know, Kindle really kind of took off and iBooks took off. And I was kind of in that sort of graduating class, so to speak. And as a result of that, you know, I started selling like hotcakes that Christmas season. I was selling 10,000 books like a month. So it was quite a bit over what I was used to. And from that moment on, you know, I did very well self-publishing. So then what happened was I got picked up by Orbit because the numbers were so good at that time, and we revisited, you know, traditional publishing, and that's how I got that deal. And I've continued to make sales since then. I think there's been a few people who have kind of tried to make that transition and haven't done as well.
Right.
But I've managed to, and I don't know if it's just because I keep putting out books or because my wife is just a really good marketer. But the reality is that, I mean, I've been consistently doing well enough that, you know, I do this as a living now. And so, and I've kind of hybrided now to where I'm doing both traditional as well as self-publishing, depending on the job or depending on the novel. So between those two, I'm doing very well. I don't really know why they singled me out for that, because I'm not like Amanda Hocking or John Locke, who at the time were selling way more than I was. But nevertheless, maybe it was longevity. I have no idea. And
is that around the same time, too, with like Andy Weir with The Martian?
I think that came a bit later.
Okay.
He actually rocketed to fame, as I remember. But no, we had people like H.P. Mallory and Amanda Hocking and John Locke and John Conrath. And a lot of those people were popping up at that time. And that was just kind of this kind of first freshman year of indie publishers that were out right about the time that the Kindle was first released.
Okay.
So, but I have no idea why they did that. I loved it. I found that I'm like, wow, I am.
No, that's great. Now, your first books, is it Riyria? Is that how I pronounce that?
It's pronounced Riyria, as in rye, as in the bread, ear, as in the body part, and that's how you pronounce Riyria.
Okay, Riyria, and that was your first books that you came up with. Now, I have a very important question to ask you about that. My wife has had dyslexia her entire life and has built tools to, you know, cope with that and you know, do very well. I mean, she's an educator, she's a librarian, she holds a master's degree, it's wonderful. And you started writing your books because your daughter suffers with dyslexia, right?
Yeah, well, that was one of the reasons. I mean, there was a number of them, but that certainly was one of them. Well, to explain it, she didn't like reading. It was hard for her. She didn't find it fun. As a result, she wasn't doing that well in school. So I tried to get her interested in reading. So I tried to get her to read some of the things that I used to like when I was a kid, like Lord of the Rings or Watership Down. But those were still kind of challenging. And even when I look back at them now, I'm like, yeah, those aren't really the kind of books you can just get sucked into quite as much as I remembered them as being.
Right.
So I bought her Harry Potter.
Okay.
And because I had heard at the time it was a great book, and I think it's about the time the third one was coming out. And so I bought that for her, and I had it sitting on my counter, and I read it. I'm like, wow, this is really fun. And at the time, I had tried really hard to learn how to write, so I was reading Pulitzer Prize and Nobel Prize winning books. And as a result of that, I kind of lost my fun of reading, because it was all kind of dry and very esoteric and intellectual. Like, this is not fun. And so when I read Harry Potter, I'm like, this is what I remember reading that made me love, you know, reading to begin with.
Right.
And I thought, you know, if I did something like that for my daughter, that was easy to read, it didn't take an enormous amount of effort to get into the world or into the story, and the characters could be easily identified, and the writing wasn't like overly poetic, it was just kind of, you know, kind of easygoing, I figured that would help her out. So that was one of the things I did, and it was also, you know, just me writing a book that I would really love to read. So, because after reading Harry Potter, I went, this is the kind of thing I like. This was the fun that used to be in reading, and where did this go? Right. It doesn't have to disappear just because I'm an adult.
Well, so did it work? Did she gain a love of reading?
Yeah, she actually reads more than I do. Although I have to admit that in the last few years she shifted over to audiobooks. But nevertheless, it still works. She still consumes novels.
Absolutely. No, my wife as an educator knows there's multiple ways to get the material, be it ebooks or traditional paper or audiobooks to get the students to, get the material. So yeah, definitely that's great. So tell me about the Riyria books that you've written. That's where you started with, right?
Well, I literally wrote for about a decade with the intention of getting published. So I wrote everything from coming-of-age novels to horror novels to, mysteries, everything I could think of. And I was basically trying every genre, learning how to do it. And I finally, after 10 years of getting nowhere, I gave up. And then, of course, I started an advertising agency, and then 12 years later, I got back into writing because my daughter was having problems in school. And because after a while, I had this great idea about these two thieves, and they just wouldn't go away. So I ended up sitting down and just finally writing it with no intention of publishing it, because if I had that, it would have just made me miserable. So with no intention of publishing, I wrote it. I wrote essentially a 6-book series. And as I got partway through it, some people had read it, and they said, you really should try and get this published. I said, okay, why not? I sent it off to an agent. My wife ended up kind of taking that over, and she found me an agent and actually got the book published. So that's kind of how it started.
Nice. No, that's cool. And we're talking with Michael J. Sullivan, author of the Riyria Chronicles, the Riyria Revelations, and also Legends of the First Empire. Now, this is a separate series that you wrote that is not really a prequel. It's 3,000 years ahead of the material you wrote, right?
Yeah, the reality here is that I wrote my series, which takes place in the medieval period, and during our time I wrote that, I had a background to that story. Everything was talking about the foundation of this empire, which had gone away for thousands of years, and no one knew anything about it. And they were kind of rediscovering it, much like medieval period, looking back on Rome.
Right.
And so I had created this, but when I created the mythos, it would be like Romulus and Remus. It was a mythical kind of creation, and it was supposed to be about this elven king who forsook his own people to defend this human woman. And when I created that, it was all crap. I mean, it was made up. It was supposed to be intentionally wrong. It was a romantic perception of how it happened. The real history I never told anyone.
Okay.
So after writing the series, the next logical thing was to basically go back and explain what really happened so people didn't have the wrong impression. And it also connects a lot of other components that the original series had, going through it. And this kind of sheds a lot more light on things that people never knew about. So, I don't know, you could kind of consider it like the Silmarillion to, Lord of the Rings, except it's a little bit more digestible.
I was just kind of thinking about that, almost like you took a page out of Tolkien's book and had that world-building element before you started your series.
I had some world building. Most of it was just foundational to help me write the story. I didn't really plan on writing the earlier stuff. I didn't even plan on writing the origin story of the characters, which actually came out later. I just had it kind of sketched in. And after finishing it, I decided I really want to, explore this and get this nailed down to a more clear vision.
Well, it sounds like a wonderful series. There's a whole lot there, and you actually have some giveaways that are happening right now. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, apparently there's some giveaways going on my website. I don't really know everything I do, but
okay.
I have a wife who is just like the most wonderful marketing genius in the world. But yes, even she was kind of flabbergasted because we mentioned this earlier that there was some giveaways going off on my site for a number of books. So I believe if you go to my website, you'll find out what you're looking for.
Okay, and that's...
I know I'm terrible about this, aren't I?
Well, yeah, no. Let's see. There's a drawing for some first edition copies of all 3 Legends of the First Empire books, and your publisher is that Del Rey or is that Orbit?
Well, my publisher for the Riyria books is Orbit, and my present publisher for the Legend books is Del Rey.
All right, cool. And they're giving away 25 copies of The Age of War.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good deal. Well, what is that website for folks to go check out and get in on these drawings?
That would be Riyria.com, and to spell it, it is Riyria.
Do you do social media much, or are you're focused on writing?
Well, no, I'm on. Well, I have a lot of email that comes in that I respond to, but also I'm popular on Goodreads, and I do a lot on there. Also, I've been known to pop up on Reddit from time to time. I'm not really big on like Facebook or Twitter, although I look at it, but I'm not like heavily devoted to those. Mostly, you're going to find me on Goodreads or Reddit.
All right, that's cool. Now, most importantly, before we run to a commercial break, you do have some new books coming out soon, right? Age of War, that's July 3rd, right?
That's correct.
And Winter's Daughter is October 3rd, and that's just in the States or worldwide, or?
The full name is The Disappearance of Winter's Daughter. It's the next Riyria Chronicle, and that one was released through a Kickstarter already, and people could purchase it directly from me off my website. However, now it's going to be on October 3rd. It'll be going into full distribution, so you can get it on Amazon, you can get it at bookstores, and that sort of thing.
That's fantastic. Well, Mr. Sullivan, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today.
Well, you're welcome, and thank you for having me.
Guys, when we get back, we're going to close out the show as we always do with This Week in Geek History. You're listening to The Week in Geek on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. Friday, May 4th at Southport Hall, the Week in Geek radio show celebrates 5 years on the air with a blowout geek music party. Glitch Black, Pillsbury Flowboy, and the Consortium of Genius will be bringing the best in nerd rock. Also, we're having a charity raffle for geeks empowering extraordinary kids. That's Friday, May 4th at Southport Hall. Doors open at 7 p.m. Only $5 in advance and $10 at the door for this special event. Get your tickets for the Week in Geek radio show's anniversary celebration at ticketfly.com.
Do you have a message or logo that you need the world to see? Then rely on the folks at Gretna Signworks to use their expertise to deliver your design. With over 15 years in business, Gretna Signworks can do commercial and yard signs, banners, screen-printed t-shirts, magnetic signs, vehicle graphics and lettering, and so much more. Gretna Signworks also has an exceptional network of suppliers, so no job is out of scope. Find Gretna Signworks on Facebook or visit them at 2125 Bell Chase Highway today.
Jezebel Johnston, Devil's Handmaid by Nancy Hansen, is now an audiobook read for you by Brian Held. It's a tale of a young girl from Tortuga who disguises herself as a boy and bluffs her way onto a pirate ship, chasing after her one true love, only to find adventure on the high seas. Jezebel Johnston, Devil's Handmaid is available on Amazon, Audible, and iTunes. Get your copy of Jezebel Johnston today.
Black Tie Tans, the premier mobile spray tanning professionals of New Orleans. Black Tie Tans will come to you and give you a natural glistening glow on the go. First-time customers get 20% off their first tan. Find them on Facebook at Black Tie Tans or email them at blacktitans@gmail.com to set your appointment. Going to a wedding? Going out to the club? Black Tie Tans will give you the look you need. Black Tie Tans. Tell your pale friends.
Come out to the St. Tammany Collectors Con April 28th at the Clarion in Covington. Toys, comic books, artists, games, and more. Meet actor John Anderson from Guardians of the Galaxy, Marvel Comics artist Derek Donovan, and see the Jeep from Jurassic Park. All-day entertainment for only $3 at the St. Tammany Collectors Con at the Clarion in Covington. Find out more info at sttammanycollectorscon.com. Join us. You'll be glad you did.
You've waited for it, and now it's here. Get your very own Week in Geek Radio Show t-shirt and help support our show. These 100% cotton black t-shirts with the Week in Geek Radio Show logo are going fast. So don't wait. Go to twigradio.com and order your shirt now. Just go to twigradio.com and get your very own Week in Geek Radio Show t-shirt. $15 up to XL, $17 for 2X and 3X. That's twigradio.com.
Everyone listen! No one quits! This is Casper Van Dien, Johnny Rico from Starship Troopers, and you're listening to the Week in Geek Radio Show! Come on, you apes! You want to live forever? Kill them all! You know what to do! Service guarantees citizenship!
Welcome back. This is The Week in Geek. I'm D Squared with
Brian Held.
Now, Brian, as always, we want to strongly urge people to check out the Facebook page, facebook.com/The Week in Geek. Check out our website at twigradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at Twig Radio, and the Instagram's The Week in Geek. Now, Brian, how can people listen to this lovely show?
Well, if you missed any part of tonight's show or you want to catch your favorite part again, find us on Spreaker.com or download Spreaker for your smartphone or tablet. We're also on iTunes, YouTube, the iHeartRadio app, and at WRNO.com.
Yeah, you right.
Yes.
This week in Geek History.
We're sending you back to the future!
Yes! Oh my God!
This Week in Geek History is brought to you by Jezebel Johnston, Devil's Handmaid by Nancy Hansen, read by Brian Held. Available on Amazon, Audible, and iTunes. This Week in Geek History.
Yes! Oh my gosh!
Banana, banana. Wow.
All right, I'll try to get through this quick, Dave.
Okay, let's do that.
On April 9th, 2004. You don't have to guess this one. It's a British horror comedy directed by Edgar Wright, starring Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. It's Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
Yes.
God, it's the greatest. They brought Queen back from the dead, too. That's the best choreographed fight ever.
I love it.
The only thing that comes close is like I don't know, Amok time.
Yeah, right. All right, April 10th, 1997. Wizards of the Coast announced the purchase of TSR, the cash-strapped makers of Dungeons & Dragons.
Wow.
Yes, that was a big one.
Mm-hmm. I can't believe I don't have like a cash register sound effect there.
I have to look up when Hasbro brought out Wizards of the Coast, because that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, this is kind of interesting. On April 11th, 2001... Microsoft announces that the Clippy will no longer be turned on by default with future releases of MS Office.
Oh, the goofy paperclip guy that'd be like, hey,
right.
Let me show you how to use this.
Right. Apparently, everyone hated that thing. And
he was easily despisable.
Yeah, and he was officially removed from MS Office in the 2007 version. So,
huzzah!
All right, you do have to guess this one. You ready? April 14th, 2008 was the premiere in Sydney, Australia, right, of this movie directed by Jon Favreau, starring Robert Downey Jr., Terrence Howard, Jeff Bridges.
Oh, Iron Man.
And there you go.
Yeah, okay.
Officially launching the...
Started it all.
Yes, MCU. So...
Man, good Lord. 18 movies later, and we're probably going to see the closure of probably Tony Stark, huh? You think that's who they're going to kill?
Tony's probably going to get axed. I got a good... I think Cap is really good to get axed. Right?
Yeah, possibly. And people are going on about Hawkeye, but I doubt they're killing him because nobody would care.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it would be cool if Cap gets axed, Bucky could step in, or the Falcon, either one.
Right.
And then if Iron Man gets axed, you could get Shuri from Wakanda. Like, she'd be a perfect...
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a good call, Brian.
And that would kind of tie into the whole Riri Williams in the comic book. Yeah, I think it would be awesome.
That's not a bad idea. Where you read that off the internet somewhere?
Actually, Bart Patari kind of gave me that, that deal.
Well, at least it came from a listener, not some rando on the internet.
Right.
All right, we only got about a minute and a half.
All right, birthdays. On the 9th, Dennis Quaid.
Okay.
On the 10th, Daisy Ridley.
Yeah.
On the 11th, Trisha Helfer, number 6 from Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
On the 12th, Shannon Doherty. Right?
Yeah.
Yes. On the 14th, Sarah Michelle Gellar. And the 15th, Emma Watson.
Oh, Emma. Call me. All right, now, Brian, Huck's Homebrew. Now, you know, that the premiere with...
Yes, we premiered Huck's Homebrew Adventurers Tavern last week at Supercon, and it is now on the net. You can go see it on YouTube. Huck's Homebrew Adventurers Tavern. It's a fantasy animated sitcom from Cajun Nerd Media.
That's all you had to say, hero.
Right. And, of course, you do the voice of Wizard Jim, and I am the voice of Huck, and Skungy is Klepto.
Absolutely. All right, now, guys, also, May the 4th be with you. Buy your tickets at Ticketfly. May the 4th.
Southport Hall, 7 p.m. to midnight.
Glitch Black. I keep wanting to say Pitch Black. Glitch Black.
Glitch Black is going to be in studio next week.
Get out. No way.
Yes.
Huh? Awesome.
And as well as Derek Perkins will be our guest, too. Glitch Black, Billsbury Flowboy, and the Consortium of Genius.
And
Absolutely.
all kinds of great donations for the charity Geek.
Yes.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast. I'm looking
Clear out
forward to
your
it.
calendars, folks. All right, till next time, keep your nerd flag raised high.
GFL.
Warrior, hear his mighty battle cry. La, la, la. Hey, watch out, crime!
News Talk 99.5 WRNO FM, New Orleans, an iHeart radio station.